The only reason I escaped was luckily I was living in the border town of North Korea. Literally North Korea is the darkest place on earth.
From a culture shaped by isolation to weird government policies dictating literally everything, life inside North Korea is a reality most of us can barely imagine. But despite the risk, some have managed to escape.
I escaped North Korea to China, just the border. When it was 2014, the river was frozen, so we walked the frozen river.
Let's hear their stories and take a closer look at one of the most secluded nations in the world. A young North Korean soldier made a bold escape near the Korean border. He drove his Jeep across the dangerous DMZ, but lost control and crashed just steps away from safety. He got out and kept running toward the south. Behind him, his fellow soldiers tried to stop him. He reached the dividing line and collapsed as South Korean soldiers rushed in, crawling to pull him to safety.
A young soldier risking his life, driving across the no man's land of the DMZ, crashing his Jeep, and making a run for it.
His escape showed how far someone will go for a better life. Evelyn's brave journey.
About North Korea, what do you think about the people living in isolation, like they have no internet?
I feel bad. I feel really, really bad because people have to know how the different types of people are and their personality and then how the world is going on,
Evelyn's escape from North Korea is an extraordinary story of bravery and survival. In 2014, at just 15 years old, she crossed the border into China, walking across a frozen river to escape the harsh regime.
I escaped North Korea to China, just the border. When it was 2014, the river was frozen, so we walked the frozen river.
After staying in China, she traveled through several countries, including Laos and Thailand, before finally reaching South Korea. Eventually, she moved to the United States, where she settled in Denver, Colorado, with a foster family. Despite the challenges of adjusting to a new life, she worked hard, got her driver's license, and dreamed of becoming a successful businesswoman. She now lives independently in Chicago and continues to inspire others with her resilience and determination. Desert of Hope. At just 13, Yonme Park fled North Korea, driven by a desperate search for freedom. Her father's arrest for illegal trading and her family's extreme starvation led her to cross the frozen river into China with her mother. Once in China, she was sold into captivity, but fought back, clinging to hope.
We found out that we had to be sold to live in China.
Her father's last wish to never give up kept her alive as she faced unimaginable hardships. After escaping with the help of Christian missionaries, she crossed the Gobi Desert, finally reaching South Korea.
And then we walked and crossed the Gobi Desert. The moment I stood on the desert, sun just straight. It's endless, and I felt only the stars were with me.
Today, she's a student at Columbia University, married with a child, and continues to inspire others with her courage. Sometimes, even the darkest circumstances can lead to a brighter future. Truth on Stage.
So lots of people are seeing this show and then they send this to back North Korea and people are seeing it and then they are saying, oh, I know that lady, she's from here. So, it's very popular in North Korea right now.
Yonme Park, a 20-year-old TV star in South Korea, is using her fame to expose the harsh realities of life in North Korea. As the star of On My Way to Meet You, she shares her personal journey, which includes the trauma of growing up during the North Korean famine and the arrest of her father. At 16, her family escaped North Korea, only to face further struggles in China, before finding refuge in South Korea. Now, using her platform, Yonme speaks out for North Korean defectors and against the oppressive regime. Her rise to fame is not just about stardom. It's about keeping her family's painful past alive, ensuring their story is heard. Guardian Gangster. This is one of the darkest stories ever told by a North Korean defector. After escaping into China, the young boy believed a missionary was trying to kidnap him due to the anti-religious education he grew up with in North Korea. He ran away, only to be caught later by Chinese soldiers while trying to cross into Mongolia. Alongside a group that included small children, he was arrested. After being sent back to North Korea, he was imprisoned underground, tortured. Still determined to escape, he made another attempt with help from a local friend. But in Shanghai, he was captured again. Inside a Chinese prison, a South Korean gangster gave him food, care, and a Bible. In the darkest moment, even a gangster became a guardian. 3 generations punishment. Shin Dong-hyuk wasn't arrested. He was born inside a prison camp, Camp 14. For the first 23 years of his life, he didn't even know the outside world existed. To him, prisoners were born to suffer. He had never heard of America, didn't know the world was round. His world was electric fences, forced labor, and constant fear. Around 15,000 people are trapped there, working in factories, mines, and fields surrounded by pain. When asked if he ever thought of escaping, his answer was clear: no. Because he didn't even know escape was possible. When you're born behind bars, hope isn't even a word you know. Fake village. This fake village near the South Korean border is one of North Korea's strangest lies. It's called Kijongdong. From far away, it looks like a peaceful town with tall buildings and a huge flagpole. But the buildings are hollow, the windows are painted on, and at night, only the top floors light up to make it seem real. There's more. North Korea placed jamming towers near this area to block radio and TV signals, so people living nearby have no way of knowing what's happening in the outside world. This village was shown again during the 2018 Olympics, where the world got another glimpse of North Korea's strange way of hiding the truth. Struggle for freedom. In a small working-class neighborhood in Seoul, a former North Korean defector fights back with one of the most powerful weapons available: the truth. This woman, broadcasting news from South Korea under the alias Miss Han, speaks directly to her family still trapped in North Korea, using her voice to shatter the lies of the regime. Her personal journey, one of torture and human trafficking, fuels her resolve to help others escape the horrors of her past. Now, she and many others are using tools like USB drives filled with forbidden media to spread knowledge about the outside world. Each day, these small devices carry crucial information across the border, offering a glimpse of freedom to North Koreans under the tightest control. Haircut rules.
Kiểu đầu này con cảm thấy rất vui khi mình rất giống với chủ tịch của Triều Tiên.
In North Korea, getting a haircut isn't just about style, it's about following rules. Citizens can only choose from 28 government-approved hairstyles. Men must keep it short and neat, while women have a few more options. But still, no bold colors or funky cuts allowed. This strange rule began as a way to block Western fashion and promote strict socialist values. Salons display charts with the allowed looks, turning every trip to the barber into a reminder of control. It's like being stuck in a real-life 1950s time loop. And believe it or not, one barber in Vietnam even offered free Kim Jong-un and Trump haircuts during a summit, just for fun. But for North Koreans, there's nothing funny about it. Your hair is just another way the state keeps watch. Controlled internet. North Korea's version of the internet is called Kwangmyong, meaning bright star. But it's not what most people would call the internet. It's a closed network, free for public use, yet only accessible by a few thousand approved users. Forget about Google or YouTube. This intranet hosts around 5,500 sites, mostly state-run news, education pages, and official airline or insurance portals. The real internet is only for top government officials, and even that is filtered and routed through China. Citizens need permission just to own a computer, and all devices are registered with the police. Foreigners, meanwhile, use a 3G network through Koreolink, with just 2 email providers, Bank and Cheson.com. Digital life here is locked down. Many North Koreans don't even know the real internet exists. Fake elections. In North Korea, elections look like a big celebration, but they're not what they seem. Everyone lines up to vote, but there's only one name on the ballot: Kim Jong-un. There's no competition, no debate, and no choice. The government proudly claims a 100% turnout, but there's a catch. These elections are used to track people. If someone doesn't show up, the authorities take note and sometimes take action. It's not about democracy, it's about control. While state media calls it a festival, the truth is far from festive. It's just another way to keep an eye on every citizen. No religious freedom. In North Korea, there is no religious freedom. The government is officially atheist and suppresses all forms of religion, viewing it as a threat to the state's control. The Kim regime promotes a personality cult around the ruling family and enforces an ideology of juche, which emphasizes self-reliance and loyalty to the state. Religion is seen as a foreign influence that could lead to dissent. Any religious activities, like attending church or participating in ceremonies, are illegal, with harsh punishments for violators, including imprisonment, torture, or even execution. Christians and other religious minorities face particularly severe persecution. The government also encourages citizens to inform each other for any signs of religious behavior, further tightening its control. Jeans ban. In most countries, blue jeans are just everyday wear, but in North Korea, they've been banned. And the reason is strange. The government says blue denim represents American imperialism, so now only black jeans are allowed, and only in 2 styles, slim fit or loose. But it doesn't stop there. Citizens can't pick their own hairstyles either. Only 28 are approved. Music, foreign films, even owning a car, or making an international call. Almost everything is tightly controlled. The jeans ban might sound small, but it's a part of something bigger, cutting off anything that looks even a little Western. Strict travel bans.
Hello there.
Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Tom.
Oh, I'm Casey. Nice to meet you.
So where are you from?
I'm from Korea.
When South Korean students introduce themselves as Korean, they're often asked, "Are you from North or South?" This simple question reflects a much bigger reality. North Korea is the world's most isolated country. Traveling abroad from North Korea is incredibly difficult, as citizens must get special permission from the government. It's nearly impossible for an ordinary person to leave, and just as hard for outsiders to enter. The rare few who can travel are part of a privileged group. For example, Kim Jong-il's son, Kim Jong-nam, was caught trying to visit Tokyo Disneyland with a fake passport, but wasn't executed. Today, his son lives abroad and interacts with outsiders. Unfortunately, most North Koreans live with limited access to the outside world. Mythmaker. According to North Korean propaganda, Kim Jong-il didn't just arrive like any other baby. They say his birth was predicted by a swallow, and when he was born, a double rainbow appeared in the sky, along with a brand new star shining above the mountains. But here's the real story. Kim Jong-il was actually born in 1941 in the Soviet Union during World War II. In fact, they even said he could golf like a legend and had powers beyond normal people. The truth is far from these tales, but North Korea kept spreading them to strengthen his image. Sometimes legends are made up, but they do leave behind some wild stories. Controlled media. The North Korean government strictly controls all forms of media, including radio and television. The country operates a state-controlled media system where all media outlets are owned and run by the government. The content is heavily censored to ensure it aligns with the state's socialist ideology and promotes loyalty to the leaders. Citizens are only allowed to access state-approved media, which broadcasts government propaganda. Foreign media, including broadcasts from outside the country, is strictly prohibited. This helps limit access to outside information and prevents citizens from comparing their lives with the outside world. By controlling all forms of media, the government can limit the flow of information and maintain control over public perception, ensuring persistent loyalty to the regime. Juche calendar. In North Korea, time used to follow a unique system, the Juche calendar. Starting from 1912, the year Kim Il-sung, the nation's founder, was born. This calendar marked each year as Juche 1 and continued from there. But in a surprising twist, as of October 2024, state media has stopped using the Juche calendar and switched entirely to the Gregorian calendar. This shift is seen as Kim Jong-un's way of putting more focus on his leadership, distancing himself from his grandfather's legacy. The change reveals much about North Korea's evolving propaganda and its efforts to reshape history. Maybe it's not just about the dates, but about rewriting the past to fit a new narrative. Pyongyang time. North Korea once created its own peculiar time zone, Pyongyang time. On August 15, 2015, the government set its clocks back by 30 minutes, making its time different from both South Korea and Japan. The decision wasn't just about time, it was symbolic. North Korea claimed it was a way to reject Japan's past colonization of the Korean peninsula. For a while, this 30-minute difference caused issues for businesses, travelers, and communication with the outside world. It made things more complicated, but for North Korea, it was about standing apart. Sometimes, even the clock becomes part of a country's message. Biggest holidays.
Kim Jong-il would have been 73 today. Nevertheless, the regime celebrated Kim's birthday, complete with fireworks and festivities.
The biggest holidays in the world usually involve seasons, independence, or faith, but not in North Korea. The most celebrated dates here are the birthdays of its leaders. Kim Jong-il's birthday is called the Day of the Shining Star, and Kim Il-sung's birthday is honored as the Day of the Sun. These days are marked with fireworks, mass parades, and red flowers named after the leaders. The current ruler, Kim Jong-un, even visits their mausoleum at midnight with top military officials. These celebrations aren't just for remembrance. They're staged to strengthen the family's legacy and grip on power. Unlike anywhere else, showing up to these events is more of an obligation than a choice. That's how birthdays became powerful political tools in North Korea. No cars for civilians. You won't find traffic jams or car horns here not because of good planning, but because regular people aren't allowed to drive. In North Korea, only military and government officials have the right to own or drive a car. That's why the streets stay mostly empty. Even in the capital, locals rely on bikes or long walks to get around. And even if someone could afford a car, it wouldn't matter. Ownership is strictly controlled. It's not just about transportation, it's about power. Roads in this country are for the elite, not the people. When you see empty highways stretching for miles with just a few official vehicles, you realize how silent control looks in North Korea. Leader worship. The pictures are everywhere, on buildings, in homes, even inside classrooms. In this country, the leaders are more than rulers. Stories about their lives are beyond belief. One was said to control the weather. Another, born under a double rainbow, never needed to use a bathroom. The youngest reportedly drove a car at age 3. These aren't just stories. They're part of daily life, taught and repeated until they become an unshakable truth. This worship isn't just tradition, it's a tool. Every face turned toward these eternal leaders is a reminder of who holds the power. That's how the cult of personality shapes every corner of North Korea. Ryugyong Hotel Mystery. It's the tallest building in North Korea, but no one has ever stayed there. Right in the middle of Pyongyang, there is the Ryugyong Hotel, a 105-floor skyscraper that's been called the Hotel of Doom. It was supposed to show the world how modern and powerful North Korea was becoming. Construction started in 1987, but after the Soviet Union collapsed, money ran out. The building stood unfinished for years, like a ghost tower. In 2008, they gave it a glass exterior, but inside, it's still empty. No guests, no workers, nothing. North Korean state media avoids talking about it, as if it doesn't exist. Its lights during national events silently remind the world of a plan that failed. Propaganda show. In one of the strangest propaganda videos released by North Korean state media, they show a broken version of the United States. The footage talks about Americans freezing on the streets, starving during winter, and living in destroyed cities after typhoons. It even says over 1.5 million U.S. children are homeless, and shows people wrapped in old blankets, searching for food. They claim subway stations are full of jobless people, and that European cities face the same fate. This isn't news. It's a message carefully made by North Korea to tell its own people that life outside their borders is worse. Another extreme attempt at controlling what truth looks like from Pyongyang. Legal marijuana. In a country known for its strict and conservative laws, North Korea's approach to marijuana stands out. Surprisingly, marijuana is not classified as a drug in the country. Instead, it is seen as a common plant, with marijuana often growing freely along roadsides. Smoking marijuana is so normal that it's not unusual to catch a whiff of it while walking through towns. It's also popular among North Korean soldiers, especially among the younger ones. Despite the country's harsh restrictions in other areas, marijuana remains an oddity, accepted and even widespread. Restricted travel. In North Korea, the government tightly controls its citizens' movements both within the country and abroad. Citizens are required to obtain permission to travel even within the country, and they must carry identification papers that specify their place of residence and work. Moving outside of one's assigned area without permission is illegal, leading to harsh punishments, including imprisonment and forced labor. International travel is even more restricted. Only a small number of citizens are allowed to leave the country, and they are closely monitored by the authorities. These limitations on movement are a key part of the government's strategy to maintain control over its people and prevent the spread of outside ideas that could challenge the state's ideology. Military first policy. Much of the country's money goes to the military, even if people are starving. Under the military first policy, introduced by Kim Jong-il and continued by Kim Jong-un, the military receives priority in state affairs, with a large portion of the country's resources allocated to the Korean People's Army. This policy often takes precedence over the needs of the civilian population, resulting in shortages and hardship. Even during times of famine, like in the 1990s, the military had access to supplies while the population struggled. Kim Jong-un has made attempts to shift some control to civilian sectors and address economic issues, but the military remains well-funded. Despite occasional reforms, the policy continues to dominate North Korea's governance, keeping the military at the center of power and impacting the daily lives of its people. Tourists being monitored. In this isolated nation, foreign tourists face strict monitoring and limited movement during their visit. Visitors are required to stay in their assigned groups and follow a pre-approved itinerary, with no opportunity to explore freely. The government carefully controls what tourists see, ensuring they only experience the image it wants to project. Tourists are under constant surveillance, with guides and handlers watching their every move. Even interactions with locals are highly restricted, further cementing the country's efforts to control the narrative. This level of control is a reflection of the regime's desire to maintain a tight grip on both its citizens and the outside world's perception of life within its borders. No international food chain. In North Korea, the government has ensured that no international food chains operate within its borders. This move is a part of its strict control over foreign influences and the nation's isolationist stance. Instead, local restaurants, like the Pyongyang restaurants, serve as the primary dining establishments. These restaurants, often found in countries like China and Vietnam, offer upscale North Korean cuisine, but the experience is heavily controlled and monitored by the state. The government controls the operation of these restaurants for both cultural diplomacy and financial gain, as they help bring in foreign currency. Despite this, there is no space for global brands like McDonald's or Starbucks, as the regime continues to protect its national identity by limiting outside influences. Traffic ladies. In Pyongyang, the streets tell a story of control and appearances. Here, 300 young women serve as traffic ladies, meticulously chosen for their looks and poise. Wearing striking uniforms, they direct traffic with precision, adding to the city's carefully crafted image of order. However, outside Pyongyang, men take on the responsibility of traffic control. These women, often a focal point for tourists, are celebrated for their role in maintaining the city's aesthetic. But there's a hidden reality. While men can continue working indefinitely, these women are forced to retire at just 26. In North Korea, even something as simple as managing traffic is steeped in control, designed to uphold a specific image of perfection. Fake stores. If you ever visit certain parts of North Korea, don't trust everything you see. At first glance, the stores looked normal. Bright lights, clean shelves, and people walking around. But something felt strange. A visitor noticed the boxes were empty. The workers weren't real shoppers. They were just standing, pretending. These stores were not made to sell anything. They were built to fool outsiders. In some parts of North Korea, fake stores are set up before a visit from foreign guests. Locals know the truth, but they stay quiet. Everything is planned, even the smiles. Behind the glass windows, nothing is real. It's a world made to look good, but only on the surface. Face folding, illegal. In North Korea, it's illegal to fold or damage an image of the country's leader, Kim Jong-un. This might seem tough, especially since his face appears on almost every page of every newspaper in the country. It's a law designed to show respect and uphold the leader's image, emphasizing the extent to which the regime controls its citizens' actions, even down to how they handle newspapers. The leader's image is everywhere, and damaging it can result in serious consequences, reinforcing the regime's strict expectations of loyalty and obedience. Banned broadcasts. In North Korea, two 16-year-old boys were caught watching and sharing South Korean dramas, a crime punishable by harsh punishment. In front of a large crowd, they were sentenced to 12 years of hard labor. The government strictly controls the media and views South Korean shows as a threat, fearing that the freer, happier lives portrayed in K-dramas might make people question their own reality. While watching foreign media is illegal, South Korean dramas face the harshest penalties. One defector claimed that watching an American show could be overlooked with a bribe, but watching a K-drama could lead to worse. Despite this, many in North Korea secretly watch K-dramas, finding in them a glimpse of hope, love, and the possibility of a better life. No international calls. International calls are heavily restricted in North Korea. The government controls all forms of communication, including both phone and internet access, and limits exposure to information from the outside world. To make an international call, citizens must first obtain government permission. Only a small percentage of North Koreans have access to mobile phones, and those who do can only make local calls. Internet access is also unavailable to most citizens, and even landline phone calls are monitored by the government. The high cost and limited availability of international phone lines make it extremely difficult for most people to communicate outside the country. This strict control over communication helps the government maintain power by preventing access to foreign information that could challenge its control or propaganda. North Korean computer. In the digital world of the Korean Hermit Kingdom, the operating system of choice isn't Mac or Windows. It's Red Star, a state-developed OS that mirrors Mac OS in design. Along with this, the country maintains around 5,000 government-controlled websites, all accessible only within the DPRK. Even more bizarre is the rule that the names of Kim Jong-il and Kim Il-sung must appear 20% larger than any other text on these sites. A clear attempt to ensure the presence of their leaders is larger than life in every corner of the online world. Controlled flow of information. North Korea's government maintains strict control over the flow of information, limiting citizens' access to external media and the internet. This censorship is so pervasive that the country ranks last out of 180 nations in the World Press Freedom Index. Despite these restrictions, many North Koreans seek access to foreign news, entertainment, and cultural content. To prevent the spread of external influences, the regime enforces harsh penalties for possessing or distributing foreign media, including South Korean dramas. This includes severe punishments such as lengthy labor sentences for those caught consuming or sharing such content. These measures underscore the regime's commitment to controlling information and limiting exposure to external ideas that could challenge its authority. Full photos of leaders. Tourists can take photos in North Korea, but there's a strange rule. When snapping a picture of a leader's statue, you must capture the entire body. Cropping off the head or feet is seen as disrespectful and can get you into serious trouble. Meanwhile, life for locals isn't just controlled by rules like this. People are sometimes forced into long work campaigns that last over 70 days without any breaks. These aren't optional, they're mandatory. Whether you're sick, tired, or busy, skipping them isn't an option. In North Korea, both pictures and people must follow orders without question. Loudspeakers of war.
Now to the loudspeakers, the leaflets, and the balloons. Now, these are the weapons being employed in a Cold War raging between North and South Korea.
Near the Korean border, there's a strange battle that doesn't use weapons, but sound. In the fake North Korean village of Kijongdong, giant loudspeakers once blasted propaganda for up to 20 hours a day. Locals say the village, with its painted windows and empty buildings, was built only to impress South Korea. The goal? To make defecting seem tempting. But South Korea has its own loudspeakers too. In June 2024, they turned them back on after North Korea sent trash balloons across the border. These speakers played K-pop, weather updates, and real news, things North Korean citizens aren't allowed to hear. Denim ban. North Korea is notorious for its strict control over the culture and lifestyle of its people. One of the most surprising bans is on blue jeans. The regime believes denim represents Western imperialism, particularly the United States, and it aims to prevent citizens from adopting foreign influences. The government's ban is part of a broader effort to preserve its socialist ideology and ensure the people remain loyal to the state. Anyone caught wearing jeans can face serious consequences, including forced labor. This censorship extends to all forms of media and fashion, with North Koreans often required to follow strict dress codes. This strange restriction highlights the extreme measures the government takes to control even the smallest aspects of daily life. And now, let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day.
이 집을 떠나리라고 결정을 했어요. 그 사건으로 인해서. 그때 처음 탈북을 하게 된 거죠, 저도. 엄마가 중국으로 간대요.
Kim Pilju's journey to freedom is one of resilience and determination. Born into poverty, he escaped North Korea 3 times. His first attempt with his mother ended in capture and punishment.
감옥에서 한 3개월 있다가 나오게 됐다. 그래서 그런 에피소드가
Undeterred, he tried again, crossing a frozen river, but was caught once more. On his third attempt, Kim successfully reached China.
그래서 막연하게 그냥 하늘에 기도하고 나 살려달라고 하고 이런데 오른편에 숨을 데가 없어요. 근데 앞에 기적적으로 어떤 이게 홍수철에 그 나무 큰 나무를 뿌리채로 들어간 구덩이가 있었어요. 거기 훅 뛰어들었어요. 그 뛰어들었는데 눈이 이까지 쌓이더라고요. 그래서 거기면 이제 이렇게 하고 그냥 숨어 있었죠. 저쪽에서 찌푸차 시동 거는 소리가 나는 거예요. 제가 지금 예측하건데 그들은 날 놔줬어요.
Eventually finding refuge in South Korea. Now in Seoul, he helps other defectors adjust to their new lives, sharing his story of survival and the quest for freedom. His experiences show the lengths people will go to escape oppression.
어려운 과정을 통해서 탈북을 하셔서 한국에 오셨는데 앞으로 혹시 계획 같은 게 있으신가요?
저는 이제는 죽어도 원이 없어요. 자유를 얻었고요.